If it's on a product you own, I think planned obsolescence is bad. If it's on something that you don't own, I think that may be okay, because hopefully there'll be another version coming out and you don't directly own it. But on something that you tangibly have, I think planned obsolescence is very bad. But I have some opinions, or like where it comes from, because if you think about planned obsolescence in our so planned obsolescence in itself is an okay concept whenever you look at it on paper, because it basically says your processor is too slow or your memory requirements are no longer suitable for the new operating system, which all makes sense on paper, right? Because as you update your phone, like on an iPhone, you cannot go backwards. But that's where planned obsolescence is an issue. You should be able to go backwards. So looking at it on paper, what they'll tell you, it makes it sound like an okay thing until you start to realize that you should be able to move back to an older software that you once had before, or something like that, so your phone runs a little bit better or whatnot. But I think it all comes from like a planned usage that the manufacturer intends, and they take it so far as making that product obsolete after their usage has been fulfilled. But there are some, it's like a big double-edged sword, because if you look at Apple actually has a very big handle on planned usage. If you look at their Macs, any Mac line that they have, or any iPod or any iPhone, everything is like married one to the other. So like the usage, 99.99% of the time is going to be used exactly the same between me, between you, between anybody else that you meet, even if you have never talked before, because they just work together. When you look at any other product, it's not quite the same, because they're not as married. All the different products aren't married together. So like their intent to make everything work so well is a great idea, but then it leads into planned obsolescence, because then they have you controlled in their ecosystem so much that you've worked your life and everything that you do around that when it becomes obsolete, you really can't say no. You just have to say okay and then move on to whatever they give you. And so it's a really easy path to follow down, and I think the manufacturers know that, because it makes it easier for them. But especially in the tech industry, planned obsolescence is a very big normal thing, whereas in all the other industries it's not, and it's completely taboo. But for some reason in the tech industry, everyone's turning planned obsolescence into part of like their ultimate plan. Yeah.
Do you think more people should learn how to fix their phones?
If they want to, yes. I think so. And I go with that because the more... I think there's a lot of hobbies and things like that out there that people haven't discovered yet. So my wife is a really big example of this. She was the one that actually started the Gadget Medic. And I was the one that kind of had the idea behind it, but I was working for another company and didn't have the availability to do it. She was actually working at her grandfather's tax office, and so, just because of the work environment, she had a little more flexibility, so she'd actually have customers go over there and get their phones fixed. And I would have never thought that she would have enjoyed repairing phones, and she has told me, like, I never thought I'd ever like repairing electronics. Like, I've never really like that too much, but she's like top notch when it comes to fixing things, and totally something that you may not be able to experience. So I think everybody should maybe become more aware of it, maybe kind of look into it a little bit more. But I guess if you want to, but I think it can open up different avenues in your life that if you get a second hobby or something like that, something really fun to do.